I just wrapped my carbon steel pan while I was trying to season it using a portable induction cooktop. I'm afraid this is a very common issue, as some induction cooktops are just not suitable for the job. In this video, I'll explain what happened. I'll show how you can assess if your induction cooktop is suitable for seasoning, and if it is not, I'll give you some alternatives so you can carry on and season your carbon steel pan safely. Let's get cooking. Hi, I'm Papa Mao. I'm here to inspire people to use healthier and long-lasting cookware as a way to care for their loved ones and for the environment. In my channel, I show how easy it is to cook with carbon steel, cast iron and stainless steel cookware. I share my own experience as an everyday dad cook and as an outdoor weekend warrior. Welcome. Have you ever seen a pan do this? This was supposed to be a perfectly flat carbon steel pan, but after just a few minutes on an induction cooktop, it's rocking like a seesaw. See this? That's the sign of serious uneven heating. So, what went wrong? Was it the pan? Was it the cooktop? Or was it me? I thought I was playing it safe by setting the cooktop to low heat. But what I didn't realize is that some induction cooktops, especially the entry-level ones like this one, don't actually adjust their power smoothly. Instead of providing a steady stream of heat, they work in bursts, turning on at full blast and then off and then on again. The cheaper the cooktop, the longer the gaps between these pulses. High-end models pulse so fast that the heat feels continuous, but budget-friendly ones, they are basically playing like a traffic light, red, green, red on your pan, which puts them on a lot of stress. So here's the problem. When an empty, lightweight pan is blasted with full power at once, the center heats up way faster than the edges. This creates a temperature imbalance, and the metal in the center expands quickly while the cooler edges stay the same, and the result is that the pan starts bending, stretching, and eventually wrapping, which is changing its geometry for good. And once it wraps, that's it. The fact that it's rocking all over the place is gonna make it really tricky for you to be able to cook effectively. So it's done. Alright, so my pan got absolutely wrecked. But here's the real question. Is your induction cooktop also a pan destroyer? Before you even think about seasoning a carbon steel pan on your induction cooktop, you need to run a simple test. And trust me, this will save your pan's life. So here's how you test it. Pour a little bit of water into the pan and turn the cooktop at low setting, like the lowest possible, and see what happens. Do you see bubbles appear? Like in mine, for example, at setting 1, nothing happens. Like it's a big gap of nothing and then a very, very quick burst, like psst, of full blast, that it doesn't get to make any bubbles, right? Now, I found that moving from 1 to 2, there was sort of the same, and from 1 to 3 was a massive difference. Level 3 was full blast for a long time. You see it in the bubbles straight away, and that's the level that wrapped my pan. So if you see bubbles forming in just one small area, it means that the heat source is too concentrated, and you know what will happen. Now, if your pan heats evenly across the whole cooking surface, you're in luck. Let's be honest, traditional seasoning methods can be a nightmare. Your kitchen fills with smoke, your pan ends up with weird streaks, and sometimes, no matter what you do, it just doesn't come out even. But what if I told you there is a better way? A method that is safer, easier, and gives you a perfect even finish every time. I call it the cold and dry seasoning. Most people think you need to heat the pan first, then add the oil. The problem is when the oil hits a hot surface, it starts burning immediately, leading to an uneven polymerization, blotchy layers, and a whole lot of smoke. That's why so many people struggle to get a smooth, even seasoning. The heat is working against you. So we flip the process around. Step 1, you start with a cold pan. This gives you total control over how much oil you apply, and it spreads evenly without instantly burning. Step 2, add the oil of your preference, enough to cover the whole surface of the pan. Ideally, high smoke point oil. It could be flaxseed, grapeseed, avocado, works great. It's up to you. You could even use animal fat. But this is the key. After you apply the oil, you wipe it all off. It should feel dry to the touch. If it looks wet, it still has too much oil. Even though the pan looks dry, there is still a super thin layer of oil left on the surface. And that's what's gonna get polymerized and it's gonna build the perfect seasoning. Now we gently heat the pan. If your induction cooktop heats evenly, you're in luck. You can do this without any risks of damaging your pan. Otherwise, you need to skip to the next chapter when we explore other alternatives. As the pan heats, the thin layer of oil bonds with the metal, creating a foundation for a perfect non-stick surface. And the best part is that it doesn't smoke a lot compared to traditional methods. So there you go. No more setting off your smoke alarm just to season a pan. The first alternative is oven seasoning. Pretty simple. Preheat your oven to 250 Celsius, that's 480 Fahrenheit, and let the pan cook for about 1 hour. This allows the oil to bond with the metal evenly and without any streaks or hot spots. A lot of people put the pans upside down because they're supposed to drip. I've never had any issues with dripping when I do the cold and dry method. When it comes out, you will have a beautiful even layer of seasoning without lifting a finger. Pretty easy. Just a word of caution with the oven method. Some carbon steel pans don't have an oven safe handle. If that's the case for you, you cannot use the oven for seasoning. Next option would be to buy a small portable gas camping stove. You can jump into Amazon and get a little camping stove for very little money. Then you follow the steps of the chapter where we did the seasoning, and that's it. Of course, a gas barbecue or even a normal barbecue will do the job as well. Even if you have the best induction cooktop in the world, there is a challenge with seasoning the walls of the pans. So I would definitely consider buying a camping gas stove as a seasoning tool. They don't take a lot of space and you can use it for seasoning your pans when you need it. It works great. Now, let's take a step back for a moment. We need to understand, why do we even season our pans in the first place? The truth is that the main purpose of seasoning is not non-stick performance, it's rust prevention. A bare carbon steel pan actually cooks very similarly to a stainless steel pan. And if you use the right cooking technique, you can get a completely non-stick experience without any seasoning at all. Here's the trick. You need to heat your pan first, then add enough fat to coat the cooking surface, and only then add your food. You need to let your food sit without touching it until it naturally releases. And that's it. I've tested this across multiple brands and models of carbon steel pans, and every single pan has behaved the same. They can be perfectly non-stick without any seasoning. So the obvious alternative would be to just don't worry about seasoning and start cooking. The food will help the pan to cope with that blast of heat. So when you're cooking with food, the pan is a lot less prone to wrapping. Over time, as you cook, your pan will naturally develop a patina, a built-in layer of seasoning formed by cooking oils and fats bonding to the surface. And this is what we call seasoning. It's a natural seasoning. And for a lot of people, this just happens using the pan regularly. So whichever path you choose, seasoning or just cooking, there is one golden rule. Always dry your pan thoroughly after washing. And if you are worried about rust, just wipe a tiny bit of oil on the surface before storing it. That's all you need to keep it in perfect condition until your next cook. So do you really need to season your pan? That's up to you. Whether you use my cold and dry method, the oven, the gas, the induction, or just start cooking, your pan will take care of itself as long as you use it. If you found this helpful, please subscribe to my channel. I'm committed to build a strong community so more people can enjoy healthier and long-lasting cookware in their lives. Thanks for watching and see you in the next one.